how do you feel like this game is going to play out with the Giants? They need to keep pushing. And the Vikings, they're riding high on that momentum from that win.
Like, I don't mean this, but I kind of do mean, like, I hate these two teams, honestly. Like, the Minnesota Vikings, I mean, they have the opportunity to be so good. They laid it down in the first half. Like, yeah, I mean, I guess you can call that heart for them to come back in the second half. I don't know if it's heart, if it speaks more so that what's on the sideline in Indianapolis. I mean, that's
Desperation.
to be debated. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Yeah, maybe some desperation, but that was ugly. I mean,
it was
they
gross.
laid down in the first half. And then when I look at the
Yeah.
New York Giants, yeah, they got the win against the Commanders. I really like some of the play from the defense. I like them getting a defensive touchdown. I don't really like the blown calls that helped them win that game at the end. And it's just
Mhm.
find a way to win games. But in the NFL, this is an entertainment business. Like times we want to see them do it in a pretty sexy way. They do it in the ugliest way possible. I mean,
Yeah.
the way that they win games, it looks like Flavor Flav just rolling out of bed in the morning. I mean, it's not cute whatsoever. And so now when I have to look at a team where you never really know how the Vikings are going to perform on a weekly basis when they step on the field. And then when the New York
Hmm.
Giants, like they always just play ugly. You never know what to expect out of that team. Honestly, I don't want to touch this one. Like -4, like would you put money on the Vikings winning -4? Like hell no, I'm not betting on the Vikings to do
Absolutely
anything. They're
not.
almost in the same category as the Los Angeles Chargers. And then when I look at like, will these teams score points? Like the Vikings score points, but then the way that they were shut down in the first half, and you playing against, I mean, I guess the strong suit of the Giants is that defense. So honestly, I don't want to touch this one because I feel like it could just be ugly because that's all these two teams do lately is just put up ugly performances, whether they win or lose.
Yeah, this is like a full on stay away game for me. I was looking at the Vikings team total because they're averaging 33 points per game in their last three home games, which could be something to maybe take advantage of. And right now their team total is set at 26 and a half. I could possibly see that going over, but I don't even feel confident enough to do that, Jared. Are
Yeah.
you betting this game in any way? Nah.
Not at the moment. I'm looking at my actually I just got my data dump for some of my algos for some of these totals, and the total doesn't really look like it flashes much value either. I thought maybe that was an angle here. Maybe there's a little bit of value to the under at 47 and a half, with 47 being that secondary key, but I don't really have much here. Tank, have you ever come across Wink Martindale during your years of playing in the NFL? Like, what's your vibe on
Mm,
Wink? Did
I'm
you
trying
ever
to.
meet him or do an interview with him or anything?
Never spoke to him. I'm sure he was on the staff that I played against, but
Yeah,
obviously
he
with
was on
me
the
being
Raiders
on defense, we're
staff,
most
on the
so
Ravens
focused
for a while
on
too.
like the offensive side of the ball. Yeah, so not
Yeah.
too much interaction.
So he's a very unique coach in the NFL. He's the defensive coordinator for the Giants, by the way. For those that are unaware, but he just does not give a shit. Like he will just send the house on every single play. And the Giants are the highest blitz rate team in the league at 40%. And this is the quote from Wink this week: "If you only rush four and Cousins has time, it's trouble all day. He has too many weapons." And I understand that. Um, the wrinkle here is Kirk Cousins has the fifth lowest efficiency rating against the blitz this season. So
Hmm.
that's kind of the matchup here within the matchup is the Giants are going to blitz on nearly half of every half of the plays, and Kirk Cousins has really struggled against the blitz this year. Does that scheme, can they figure out a way to, because it's not a surprise that it's coming. Maybe those numbers are a little bit skewed because
Yeah,
sometimes you don't know when the blitz is coming. But when you face the Giants, you have to assume it's coming on every play. So I'm sure Kevin
Yeah.
O'Connell is going to have some of his own countermeasures in place this week, knowing that the blitz is likely going to be coming on one out of every two plays. That being
and
said,
that's the
there's
thing too.
one
Like how
big
they blitz. You
concern.
said do you say it's a lot of all out blitz, or is it just kind of like man and zone pressures, but you still have some help for the DBs?
Yeah, I don't know that specifically. That's a very good question. I
Because if
can
it's
tell you that
all
the
out
Giants are
blitz,
not a
I
good
like
team
Justin
getting home.
Jefferson one on one against anyone, and
I
so
agree.
that should be the easy read for Kirk Cousins if they're going to try to send the house, just throw it up to Justin Jefferson. He gonna win over 50% of the time.
Totally agree. And I think it helps the Vikings. Like, what the dealer's holding. Like, there's no
Hmm.
surprise. Like, Wink's going to blitz. He doesn't care. He does not care if you know it's coming. The blitz is still coming.
Hmm.
So that, I think, helps Kirk Cousins and this Vikings offense. Here's another interesting wrinkle that I'll throw into the mix. So Their best offensive lineman's Christian Darrisaw. He's been a little bit in and out of the lineup. He played okay last week. Yannick Ngakoue got him a couple times, but for the most part, he held up okay. But their starting center, Garrett Bradbury, got hurt mid-game. Austin Schlottman filled in, did not grade well, gave up 4 pressures. Then after the game, Garrett Bradbury, who hurt his back during the game, after the game, this dude gets into a car accident and tweaks his back. So I don't know if their starting center is going to play this week, Garrett Bradbury. That's a big – when you're facing Wink Martindale in this blitzing scheme, you want to have all 5 of your offensive linemen intact, especially your center who's making the calls on where the blitzes are coming from. So that is a huge part to this game. If it is Schlottman at center, I downgrade the Vikings probably by about a half a point. Overall, this is a very good Minnesota offensive line when all of their guys are healthy. The Giants' offensive line is terrible, and they're facing Zadarius Smith this week, who leads the NFL in pressures. That's a problem. And I think he's been a problem for a lot of teams this year. Emotionally, I don't know how Minnesota bounces back. Like, my initial gut instinct says sell high after a ridiculous comeback, but sometimes it could go the other direction, and it's kind of like a reprieve. Like, man, we really laid an egg, and we still won that game. All right, now let's just relax and go play football. So let's just leave it at this. I don't want to lay more than a field goal with Minnesota. So if you're betting this game and you're laying it with the Vikings, I think you're kind of hoping and praying, right? If you're listening, God help. But at 3, I'd be willing to, I think, lay it with Minnesota.